Welcome to today's episode of Meeting with Mentors, where we are going to dive into the world of research publications. Gone are the days when only PhD students had to write research publications. In today's time, whether you're a master's student or a 4 year graduate student, you have to write research papers. But here's the catch. Students are often told by their faculties that you have to publish papers, but they are rarely told as to how a research publication is actually done or a research paper has to be written. Students get stuck at the very onset of writing papers. Like, how do we actually choose a topic to write a paper? Is there a scientific process to choosing the research topic, or you can pick up any topic that you like on the net and just start writing? So, my dear students, there is a scientific method, there is a technique through which you have to choose your research topic. And this is exactly what we are going to discuss in our podcast today. We have with us somebody who is one of the best researchers that I know, that I have seen, Professor Aakash Kamble. He's an expert in the area of research, and he is going to tell us various tips and tricks as to how that best research topic that can be chosen. But before I invite him today, I would like to tell you a little about Sir. So I had first met Professor Akash Kamble, our guest for the day, nearly a decade ago in a conference in IIT Rohtak. And my initial impression of him was that he's a very dedicated and passionate researcher. And over the years, this impression of his has only become stronger. So he has done his PhD at Savitribai Phule Pune University, and after that, he's also worked as a visiting researcher at Bar Ilan University, Israel, where he had gone on full scholarship, which was awarded to him by the Israeli government. So, Professor currently serves as an assistant professor at Plain University School of Business. Previously, he has held position at prestigious institutions like BITS Pilani Dubai campus and the Indian Institute of Management, Jammu. So, IIM Jammu. Most importantly, Professor Kamble has published extensively in ABDC index journals and in Scopus Q1 journals. He is also a reviewer of various renowned publications from Springer, Taylor and Francis, Sage, and Elsevier's. And I can go on and on about his research work, but without wasting any more time, I would like to invite Sir. Welcome to episode 4 of our podcast, Mr. Professor Kamble. I know that I'm going to learn a lot from this podcast. You've been a great researcher, prolific writer, and you always come up with the most intriguing research topics. So I'm sure that this is going to be a very, very rich learning experience for our students and for me as well. But before that, how have you been?
I've been good, thank you. And
Okay.
what about you? How have you been?
I'm doing very well. So nowadays, I see not only PhD students, but graduates, postgraduates, LLB students, architecture students, all of them have to publish research papers. It's kind of become mandatory. But unfortunately, they are not exactly taught how a paper has to be written. In the very first step, like how a research topic has to be found, they don't even know that. Like, do they pick up any topic and they start writing on it? Or is there a structure? Is there a scientific process which they have to follow to identify a topic? So, can you guide us through on this area?
Sure. What I will tell all the viewers is from my personal experiences of marketing management as a domain. So, I have my PhD in marketing management, and how I proceed ahead with understanding a researchable area. So, rather than topic, I first of all look at something called as a researchable area, wherein I try to pick up what are the current trends which are going on in marketing domain. So
Okay.
in marketing, we have various research institutes also. So one of the institute is called as Marketing Science Institute. Marketing Science Institute as an organization or a body releases research priorities every year. So marketing research
Wow.
priorities. So now this list for 2024 provides an in-depth analysis of what are the researchable areas which a marketing scholar can look into. Why researchable areas are important? Because the journals and the editors are actually looking for these papers in these domains to publish. So the list is curated by the editors and the journals of a known publication. So they know that how the journal is progressing, how the research domain is progressing. So that's why they look for those areas. So marketing research priorities by Marketing Science Institute is one of the document which I refer to. Apart from that, I also rely a lot on reading the recent literature. See, marketing is a dynamic field and it's evolving on a constant basis. So there are changes in consumer behavior, there are changes in dynamics between consumers and technology. The market dynamics are changing, and even the socio-economic trends tend to change a lot. So it becomes essential to identify the research topic and stay informed on this development. So, as a researcher or as a faculty, one should always focus on recent literature from reputed journals, maybe journals which are listed with FT50 or ABDC A star and A journals. So, a few examples which I refer to are Journal of Marketing, Journal of Marketing Research, Journal of Consumer Research, apart from that, Journal of Consumer Psychology, Journal of International Journal of Research in Marketing. So, this journal essentially provides you with literature wherein they identify the gaps that the research area or this research trajectory has stopped here, and this is the gap which is present, which can be taken over by future researcher. And so they focus on a lot of trending topics like consumer privacy, artificial intelligence, sustainability, anthropomorphism, or avatar marketing as we know it today. Apart from this, second area which
Can
one
I
needs
can
to
I
look
just
at. So,
repeat what you just said for the students? So
okay,
basically, though Sir is giving you examples from the point of view of marketing, but the same concept can be applicable to all kind of researchers.
yeah,
What I understood, sir, from what you've said is that the students have to first understand what is the most relevant area in the current times. There would be different documents which are published, and by reading latest literature, they can understand
yeah,
the current areas which require research.
right,
Okay,
yeah,
and they have to first identify that. That's the very first step, and then moving on to our second step, which would be
yes, which would be researchers or faculty members need to attend conferences.
okay,
Conferences, so not for paper presentation, but as an attendee also. So
okay,
conferences like say AMA, EMAC. So AMA stands for American Marketing Association,
absolutely.
your European Marketing Academy. Then apart from that, NASMI. So NASMI is a great conference which is conducted at Great Lakes, Chennai. So it is North American Society for Marketing Educators in India. So these conferences give you really varied perspectives into how the research field is progressing. For the general viewers here who are from other areas of management, they can focus on a conference called as INDAM, Indian Academy of Management. So INDAM as a conference is conducted every year. This year it is going to be conducted in January at IIFT Kolkata. One needs to pay attention to the keynote addresses or panel discussions which are happening in these conferences, and also the papers presented in the technical sessions, because this tells us about the cutting edge research, what is going on, and what are the emerging trends and ideas in their field. So, INDEM is a great starting point, which is common for all business and management faculty. The thirdly, it's industrial reports. One can refer to various industry insight reports from Gartner, McKinsey, Deloitte, because they provide insights into the challenging or the emerging sectors and the challenges and the opportunities which are available in the market.
Okay. So the second point that you said was they should definitely attend conferences.
Yeah.
There would be special conferences in each of the areas. They need to identify those and attend those, because the keynote addresses, the discussion that is held in those conferences can give them a key insights into what is the most relevant area or the upcoming area of research. And the third, you said, by reading the industry reports,
Industry
which,
reports.
yeah, most of them which are very easily available online these days, they can read those industry reports to understand the trend in their industry, in their area of research. Okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then,
So Okay, so in terms of identifying a researchable topic, one thing which usually academicians or researchers do not look at or ignore or maybe overlook it is the practical relevance of a research. See,
Right.
the
The
research papers
significance
which are
of the
published,
research that you're saying.
yeah, from
Yes.
practical implications standpoint,
Yes.
because a lot of industries, companies, or corporate sectors are essentially have essentially subscribed to these publication houses, and they
Hmm.
usually tend to download the research papers to understand the academic side of any industry application for any
Okay.
topic.
Interesting.
So, marketing faculties or faculties in general need to engage with practitioners also to understand what challenges they face.
They
Because
face,
at the
right.
end of the day, even if we are researching on consumers or we are researching for organizations, we are trying to solve the industry problems
Hmm.
because the application of your research lies in industry.
Hmm.
That's how
Right.
they are going to better. Yeah. So if we are
Hmm.
trying to understand the behavior of a consumer,
Hmm.
it's not for our own gain or a gain of any other academician or a researcher.
It is
It's for the gain of the industry person, right? So they
true.
need to understand how a consumer behaves on social media platforms, for example.
Hmm.
So these conversations with practitioners can inspire topics which are both academically rigorous and practically relevant.
Very
Because we
right.
need to understand it from the journal scope perspective. The journal, the editors of the journal, the aims and scope of the journal is largely inclined towards practitioners also. Though we are
True.
actually adding to the body of knowledge, but we are
Hmm.
also researching because it has a practical relevance.
Yes. Understood.
Yeah.
Very, very relevant.
And the
So
second
interacting with
is,
the
yeah,
practitioners and interacting with the industry expert can also give them insights into what is the relevant research, or what topics or what areas are relevant for research.
relevant. Yes. And secondly, we need to understand what are the current issues which are going on. So the current
Hmm.
issues which are affecting the consumers, the organization, the users. So current issues, from where you will get this data, you will get it through literature review. So once you
Hmm.
start conducting systematic literature review to
Hmm.
understand any particular direction, how the research has progressed. Say take the example of sustainability or sustainable marketing or
Uh,
sustainable
uh,
practices.
can you explain the term systematic literature review for somebody who's listening to this podcast and doesn't know that term?
Okay,
In
sure.
briefly.
So yeah, briefly. So, systematic review is nothing but you conduct a thorough literature review using various databases like Scopus, Web of Science, or Google Scholar. So, Google Scholar is freely available,
Freely
and
available.
so you can actually put in any keyword. So, you put in a keyword of sustainable marketing practices, you will
Hmm.
find a list of papers which are there.
Paper.
So, you look at all those papers, you maybe download the list of papers and then start reviewing those papers.
Hmm.
What systematic literature review means, you look for recurring themes or areas where the authors are calling for further research. So,
Great.
usually, what has happened till now in terms of that research, where the research has stopped, and what is the future trend or how we can progress in future. So, we need to usually conduct systematic literature review to understand where the research has stopped and what is the future areas. So this is
Okay.
nothing but the gap. The future area is the gap
Is
which
the
is present.
gap. The
Yeah, and we
future
need to
area, the
plug
limitations of the study, all those are the
study
gaps which the
gaps, the
researchers them
futures.
ourselves saying that this is the gap. And so basically, reading the existing literature, the existing
Yeah,
research papers, and trying to see what are the areas where researchers are again and again saying that more research is needed in that
right.
area can very easily help you identify the research gaps where you can further do your research, right?
Def- Yes. So if you're looking at coming back to sustainability aspect, so if you are looking at sustainability practices from an organization's perspective or consumer's perspective, we as a market researcher, we need to understand what has happened till now in this area, how the corporate world has progressed, how the academic world has progressed, where it has stopped, and what needs to be done further. And what happens? Research today has not research is not limited to being a single discipline. It has become interdisciplinary research now. So we tend to borrow a lot from different domains of research. So different school of thoughts also.
Hmm.
So as a researcher, if you're looking at a researchable topic,
Hmm.
we need to leverage the theories and frameworks which are existing in literature.
Indeed. Hmm.
Yeah. So one example which I can give of you is social exchange theory. So social
Hmm.
exchange theory, though it is not coming from marketing per se, it is coming
Hmm.
from, say, other domains of social sciences. But
Hmm.
social exchange theory can be relevant to the study of customer retention, customer relationship management, brand loyalty, etc. So you can draw the theories from other domains and then maybe apply it to your domain. So this
Hmm.
also happens. Yeah.
So basically, doing interdisciplinary research and using theory to weave in or to make your research richer. That this is what you're
Yes.
saying. Interdisciplinary research, of course, is very. In fact, there are most of the institutes specifically write areas where they want interdisciplinary
For
research. So yes, that's
yes.
something
So
which is really
so
promoted these days. Sorry,
So,
please continue.
what is happening these days, just adding to your point, a lot of universities, when they are advertising for job openings, they're writing specific subjects or courses which a
Hmm.
faculty
Hmm.
needs to
Hmm.
teach. Earlier, what used to happen, we require faculties in HR,
Yes.
finance, marketing,
Yes.
operations. But now, in marketing, they are writing, we need someone in digital marketing, marketing analytics.
Or consumer behavior.
Yeah, so in
Mm,
human, so people analytics is a upcoming field in human resources. So
mm,
what universities are doing, they are actually fine tuning their job opportunities also, the job offers
mm,
which they are giving.
mm.
So how to identify a faculty who is good in digital marketing or marketing analytics based upon the research which the faculty has conducted.
Yes.
So a researcher needs to align their interest and expertise and with their teaching as well. So you cannot be actually diverging into variety of
Mm,
fields. So
mm,
if you are focusing on, say I focus on dynamics between consumers and technology. So
mm,
all my research which I have conducted or which is ongoing research focuses on consumers and technology.
mm,
If as a researcher you are actually picking up topics from variety of domains or fields of research, and
mm,
it's not converging or it's not showing a straight path wherein it aligns with your expertise or your interest,
mm,
then
mm,
you will be all over the place and your resume or CV will not
mm,
highlight what is your research interest.
mm.
So a
So you
faculty or a
have to be a
research, yeah,
master of your subject, right?
yes,
There is no concept of being a marketing faculty or a finance faculty. You are a consumer behavior faculty or maybe a financial management faculty.
faculty,
So,
yes. So
yes.
So if you say you are a consumer behavior faculty, a lot of your research output should be reflected
Should
in consumer
show
research,
consumer behavior.
consumer research, consumer
Yes.
behavior. In the states, or in
Which
the
also
USA,
means that the students have to really think about the topic research that they are opting to do, because ultimately
yeah,
whatever research they do, they will be teaching that subject, publishing papers on that subject only in future as well. So you
yes,
can't just randomly pick up one topic and think about teaching something else later on.
yes. See, you can be a good teacher or you can be a good researcher, but being a good teacher and a good researcher is a difficult task. You need to manage both these aspects. So once you are able to manage both the aspects, so in the United States, usually faculties need to actually focus on one research area. The area in which they have conducted their PhD, they need to conduct research in that area as a faculty for their entire career progression. So if you as a researcher, you are researching on product deletion, so product deletion or product abandonment by consumers. So you need to look into this area and you need to work on product deletion only. Now, what you will do? So when we discussed about interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary, as a researcher, you will look from the financial perspective of what happens to an organization if a product gets abandoned or discontinued or deleted from the
Mm,
portfolio. You look at from an operations perspective or a supply chain perspective, that how the supply chain gets impacted when a product gets deleted or discontinued. You will
mm,
also look at from a generic strategy perspective, wherein what happens to the overall strategic framework for an organization and the marketing perspective. So this is how research in US progresses. So that's why
Mm.
it's really important for researchers today to align your interest and expertise, because you may research in different domains, but later on, you will not have a domain or an area which you can call it your own
Your
area
own.
in which
Right.
you have gained expertise.
Same.
Expertise is something which will not happen in a year or two. It takes a number of years to actually gain expertise in an area. So that's why a researcher need to assess their strengths first in terms of your academic and professional strengths, whether you are good in qualitative techniques, quantitative techniques, whether you want to actually explore topics which involve experimental research or maybe
Mm.
cross-sectional or longitudinal research. So a researcher needs to first identify and assess their own
Mm.
strengths, and then they need to narrow down the focus.
Mm.
So you can have a broad topic like say consumer behavior,
Mm.
but if you are able to narrow it down into researchable questions,
Mm.
that's when you will be able to understand what topic you are supposed to research. So consumer behavior is a huge field, but
Mm.
you need to narrow
Right.
it down. You need to
Narrow it down.
only study a particular aspect of consumer behavior in a particular context.
Mm.
So
But
that's how you need to do this. Then only you can progress ahead in your career. Narrow
if
it
they
down. Yeah.
study one particular context, would they be required to study only that narrow aspect throughout their teaching career or throughout their research career? Or they would still
No,
be called it, they can study various other aspects as well.
they can study various other aspects. So when I say context, don't make your career context specific.
Hmm.
Means you should not be bogged down to a context. When I say context, e-commerce is a context, banking is a context. Now
Hmm.
you can study banking as a context from various
Aspect
standpoints, yeah, various
standpoints, yeah.
standpoints or various lenses that
Hmm.
you can. But it does not mean that you need to actually restrict yourself to only one narrow aspect.
Hmm.
You can actually have a broader aspect also, but
So
narrowing down your focus actually helps you in publishing better.
yeah. So basically, to make a career, you need to choose an area. But for
Yeah.
the purpose of research, you need to even find
No.
a narrow topic or a small niche within that broad area for
Yes.
doing your
Yes.
research. And you can do multiple research in that area, pick up multiple niches again and again. But the
Again.
point is that you become an expert in your one area. You cannot have multiple domains where you can call yourself as an expert. So
So
this is a very important thing for somebody who's just starting with their PhD journey or who's going to start with the PhD journey, research journey, that choose your area based on your interest or based on your strengths, because you would
mhm.
probably be working on this area only for the rest of your career, right?
Yeah, so let me just put this into perspective from an example. So,
Mm.
suppose a researcher wants to research or conduct research in chatbots. So today
Mm.
chatbots are all over the place. You visit any corporate website, you will find a chat. But rather than focusing on chatbot, which is a narrow topic, so it can actually result in one, two, or three papers,
Mm.
why not look at a broader concept which sits just above the chatbot, or it's a foundation for chatbot, which is called as anthropomorphism. So
Mm.
anthropomorphism essentially is the foundational concept on which one use case is chat.
Okay.
So don't be
Okay.
specific to the
Got it.
context of chatbot, but be specific to a foundational aspect, which is anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism means nothing but human-like features. So any machine exhibiting human-like features or conducting human-like activities. So that's what a
Okay.
researcher can look
Got
at.
it. So we've covered things like we need to find relevant areas, then we need to do literature survey, and then find
Yeah.
gaps.
Yeah.
What's next? What is the next step?
Uh, okay. One important aspect which researchers usually overlook is the data availability. If
Hmm.
the data is, if you have identified a research topic, maybe it involves some practicalities in data collection. If that happens, then what it means that though your topic is excellent, but it's
Okay.
really difficult to collect the data,
Yeah.
it makes no sense, right? You will be
So
stuck in a loop.
measurability of the data. what you
Yeah,
are saying you want to measure can actually be measured or not.
measured or not. So it can be through surveys, experiments, interviews, secondary data sources.
Hmm.
Whether the data is measurable, whether the data is accessible.
Hmm.
These are two
True.
important aspects.
Hmm.
So for this purpose, a researcher needs to set a timeline for their research. The research cannot go. So say as we are talking about a
So
researchable
they have
topic
to
from
set
a
a
research.
timeline for a research paper or for a PhD thesis, both.
Yes, everything. So PhD, if you decide to dig deeper, once you go into the literature, once you start reading something,
Hmm.
this literature is increasing every passing day.
Indeed. Hmm.
So in 2022, suppose you conducted literature review, and today you are at a juncture where you are submitting your thesis. You see
Yes,
there are
true.
there is new research which has popped up.
Yes.
So what you will do, you will see that okay, there are new branches which I did not consider. So you will again go deep dive. So it again increases your time period for submission of your PhD.
Hmm.
Same thing happens with a researchable topic or a research paper. You need to set a timeline because if there is no end point of your research
Hmm.
by when
Hmm.
you will complete the report writing and submit the paper,
Hmm. Hmm.
then the research domain has progressed somewhere else. Or maybe what you are studying today is already been published.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
you need to
Okay.
set some hard
So,
deadlines or
what should be the
timelines.
timeline to be set for a research paper? Thesis ka to timeline the university has already given, so we need to finish
Yes.
it in 4 5 years. So, what about a research paper? What should be the timeline that they should set?
So it really depends upon the kind of journal you are submitting the paper. So maybe if it's really a reputed journal with great metrics and indexing, I
Hmm.
would look at typically somewhere between 7 to 8 months is when you need to complete at least a paper. So
Okay.
8 months is a good enough time.
With revisions, with
No, not
your
with
revision,
revisions.
not the
Yours,
editor's
yeah,
revision, your revision. So
your
the
revision, yeah.
final version should be prepared in
Around
6 months,
seven, six,
six to
7 months, yeah.
seven, 7 months.
Yes. So
Should be the
that
minimum timeline or the
minimum.
maximum? Minimum.
Uh, a median, I would say median. So
Okay.
not minimum either. So people do conduct research even in lesser time frames. But then that's where collaborative works come into picture. If
Okay.
it's a single author work, then it will take a huge amount
Okay.
of time.
Six
But if
to
it's a
seven.
collaborative work between co-authors, then you can divide the task, and based upon that, you can actually
So
achieve the results fast.
if you want to write a quality paper, 6 to 7 months is a time that you should keep in mind.
Yes.
That itna
Right.
time to lagega to do a research.
Like,
Okay.
and today, researchers actually work on parallel projects together. It's not that you're only
Hmm.
researching on one
One
paper.
thing.
Maybe at least two papers you're working at different stages into that journey.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
maybe a paper is nearing its completion, report writing
Hmm.
is going on, a new work has already started, and literature review is being done for that.
Hmm.
So this a third paper, maybe data collection phase is going on. So you
Hmm.
have hired an external agency who is collecting
Hmm.
data for you.
Okay.
So maybe this
Okay.
is how researchers need to look at it.
Okay. Anything else that they need to know? So they've identified the gap. They've understood that the it is a measurable topic. It is an accessible database. Then what
Yeah.
next?
Uh, okay. At the start of our discussion, I focused on reading this certain journals, papers in certain
Yes.
journals. So FT50 journals, so because they give you really good trends which are going in your domain
Hmm.
area. Uh, from this, one thing you will need to understand is what are the emerging topics in your area.
Hmm.
Identify some key topics which are emerging in this area, wherein research is at its nascency. So when I say nascency means there is no scarcity of research and neither
Hmm.
there is plentiful of research. So
Hmm.
you are somewhere between scarcity and plentiful of research, but it's at a nascent stage. The topic has not progressed a lot.
Okay.
So maybe
Okay.
customer data privacy. Due to the rise of big data analytics today, data privacy is a topic which is considered by a lot of researchers, and journals are looking for it.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
again, we go back to the conferences wherein the keynote addresses are given by the editors of the journal.
Hmm.
So these editors essentially are speaking based upon what they expect the journal to get in terms of papers in near future.
Hmm.
So if data
Hmm.
privacy is a word which you heard from a keynote
Hmm.
address, maybe that's a researchable area and we need to look into that area. So this is
Okay.
how researchers need to actually be attentive during conferences to understand what the editors or the keynote speakers ask. And last aspect, which is important, is you need to evaluate the feasibility and impact of your research. So, as I
The
mentioned, that you
significance,
need
yes.
to look, sorry,
The significance of the research,
yes,
which we
significance
discussed.
of the
Yes.
research, significance of
Yes.
the research, and the time frame, whether it is manageable, whether you have the resources and time to conduct the research,
Hmm.
and how it is going to impact further course of action in
Hmm.
academic community and also the practitioner.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So, significance of the research, finding topics through keynote addresses, through industry reports, through reading literature review, identifying the gaps through limitations and the future scope of study. So there are two. I think you've really given the students a lot of points where they can really, which will really help them find topics. They should now.
Right.
They would really they would have really learned a lot from this podcast.
Yeah.
Anything else which they should remember?
I think maybe at this point in time, uh, as much as you are able to read and understand from existing literature would actually
Hmm.
help you a lot. This is specifically for the PhD scholars. So the more you read, the more insights you will gather. These insights may not be directly useful for you today or in your
Hmm.
present topic, but then this will definitely contribute to your academic journey or your career progression eventually.
Hmm.
So I think you need to be a thorough reader. You need to read at least a research paper once or twice to understand what they are meaning. And over a period of time, you will start gaining some expertise into how to quickly read the paper, the literature which
Okay.
is there, and maybe find the research gaps which the authors are speaking of. So this is
Okay.
what. So read as much as possible.
Okay. Thank you so much. It was a very, very informative session. I have learned so much and I still have so many questions. But to ensure that the podcast remains within the time limit, we'll have to say bye to you. But I would love to invite you again. And the viewers who are watching this, if you have any questions from Sir, you can leave them in the comment section below. And do let us know what did you learn from this podcast and any other topic which you would like to cover in our future videos. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for giving
Thank
us
you.
your time.
Thank you for inviting me in this podcast.
Okay.